Today's Evening First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And good Monday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your Monday night weather chat. And just got through one round of winter weather earlier this morning, and Michigan says, guess what? Round number 2 is on the way on Tuesday. And it looks like we'll have a chance, unfortunately, this time around for a little bit of freezing rain. And so we are watching that as we go through tonight. And tomorrow, I think it'll be pretty scattered at first. I think you'll start to see some of the earliest precipitation, perhaps a few hours after midnight. I think it'll be pretty isolated and then start to expand in coverage as we go through the morning of tomorrow, as we are getting the live stream ready, as more are joining us. I know we have the open that plays here at the beginning, and many of you were patient enough to wait through that, so appreciate that. But if anyone wants to let me know how much snow you got and where this morning, would love to see what everyone picked up. A lot of totals I saw generally north of US 10 seem to be about 3 to 6 inches. A lot of totals between 1 and 3 to the south. And I'll fully admit when a winter forecast goes bad, but it seems like this one worked out reasonably well within expectations this time around, so that's good. But the winter weather advisory is currently for the areas, again, right along US 10 and to the north. However, it does seem that now that I'm noticing here that the Weather Service has now issued the winter weather advisory for Gratiot County as well. That seems to be a new development here. So let me move the map just to the south just a little bit. So that now goes down to Gratiot County as well. I'm just going to double check that just to see what the information is on that. It looks like we've got pretty much the same thing, up to 1/10 of an inch of ice for that new winter weather advisory. That looks like it came down just about 15 minutes ago. So that's why I didn't notice it as I was setting this up. So Gratiot County, you are now under this as well. So let's go over to the hour-by-hour forecasts and just show you how things are progressing as we go through tonight. If we start the clock right around 10 o'clock, there's still not much happening at that point. But if we zoom in to around midnight or just after, you start to see these little areas of pink pop up. Notice your temperatures as that happens. That is indicating we've got at least some freezing rain or some freezing drizzle that could be ongoing in certain areas as we start the night. That's probably why we've got those winter weather advisories starting at about 1 o'clock in the morning. We fast forward to about 3 o'clock. You get another little wave there. We fast forward to about 6, you've got another little wave, and then after 6 o'clock, I think as we start getting closer, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, you'll see this expand even more. And the freezing rain generally lines up with the temperatures that are right around 32 or just under that. And the one thing that I think is going to be kind of a headache about this system is I think there will be some back and forth going on. And what I mean by that is because this is not a clear situation for freezing rain, or I'm trying to think of the right word. This is not an overwhelmingly below freezing surface this time around. And so you're not seeing temperatures that are 27, 28. You're not seeing temperatures that are significantly below freezing. You're kind of right on that borderline. And as you go up in the atmosphere, some of those temperatures are borderline as well. And so all it takes is a little bit of movement with those temperatures on either side of zero. And I think a couple of different precipitation types can get involved. I wouldn't be shocked if, as we go through the start of this event tonight, when temperatures are at their coolest, I wouldn't be shocked if a few areas start with a little bit of snow on the front end before changing over as the night goes along. And you'll see as we progress further in time that it's fairly straightforward to begin with. Once things get going, you've got areas of rain. You'll notice those areas of rain are really starting to set up around those places that are 33, 34. You're not seeing as many areas of freezing rain by that point, but then you're looking north to Houghton Lake. You're at 32. We've got a 32 around Standish. You can see some pink shading around Standish. So it might be one of those events that's going to be a little bit more variable as the morning goes along tomorrow. And I think this model overdoes it a little bit. By noon, it looks like we're still seeing roughly the same conditions where you've got the pink lining up with those temperatures that are near and below freezing. but then it starts to trend mostly towards snow towards the afternoon and evening. And this looks like a really heavy area of snow. I don't think seeing snowfall tomorrow mixing in from time to time is necessarily out of the question, but I do think this model's probably overdoing the snow based on everything we're seeing. But you'll also notice with temperatures around 33, 34, 35, even if we did see this, I don't necessarily think we're looking at a scenario where we're picking up significant accumulations. And even if I back up to the afternoon, notice if we go towards lunchtime, check out how many people are above the freezing mark. So I think we had that event just a couple of weekends ago where we had that Sunday event and we never really got above freezing in some of those northern counties. I think we have a slightly better shot to get above freezing tomorrow. I don't see as big of a hurdle to get warm air that far north this time around. As always with freezing rain events, we'll watch it closely and just kind of see how things evolve through the day. But I think we do have a slightly better chance to get some warmer air to the north to kind of help things out. And of course, once we get precipitation to stop, we can get those road treatments working more effectively. And I think we can really help the problem by the time we get to the evening hours. And then eventually everything just pulls away from us as we get closer to about 8 or 9 o'clock. And we stay pretty mild through then. So let me just take a look at the comments really quickly. It does look like we got some snowfall reports, about 4 inches in Hale, 5-ish inches in Alger and Ogemaw County. Beth says she's not liking this winter too much, which is an opinion that I have heard many times over the last 24 hours. We got 3 inches in Gladwin, says Sherry. It seems like that lines up with forecast. Wendy, school tomorrow. I would say our northern counties will have the best chance to close or delay. We'll see what happens with that. Some of those counties were closed today. Some of those school districts to the north were closed today. That would be a tough start to the second semester here for school to have that holiday break and then eventually have 2 days additional closed. Hard on parents that were probably taking some time off work or juggling things while the students were home. Will the freezing rain be melted by early afternoon? I think you'll have a chance for things to improve. I think there's a reason that advisory goes until 1 and not something like 5 or 6. So I think, again, our temperature progression through the day tomorrow hopefully is a little bit better than what it was a couple of weekends ago on that Sunday where we really struggled to get a little bit warmer. Now, another thing that I think is going to be a little bit of a headache and a nuisance at times going through the next couple of days. Check out this fog. This is 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. We've got some areas of dense fog moving in, and as we go through the day, you'll notice it really doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of hangs out. I think this could be really one of those dreary, gloomy kind of days going through your Tuesday. This is probably a day that if you're not at the office and you're not working, this is a day to get that inside stuff done. It just doesn't look pleasant at all. Foggy days, locally dense foggy days. You've got some rain coming down. You've got some drizzle and mist. I almost said drizzle and mist at the same time. Apologize for that. But it just doesn't look like the nicest day tomorrow. And I think fog is something you're adding all of that moisture from whatever rain is falling. You're adding moisture from some of the humidity that is moving in not only tonight but tomorrow in higher dew points. And you're also not seeing a ton of wind. I think that helps in our favor when it comes to some of that freezing rain threat tomorrow too, as we're not seeing as much wind this time around. And so even if we get a little ice on the trees tomorrow, and I wouldn't say for those who do see maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice, is that enough to cause a power outage? I'd probably say more towards not than yes. But never say never with power outages and freezing rain. But I think the fact that we're only expecting up to about 1/10 of an inch of ice, maybe an isolated location goes a little bit higher than that. The fact that you're not getting much wind along with it, and then temperatures this week will be warmer, I think we'll have a chance to melt some of that ice off pretty efficiently over the next couple of days. So I don't necessarily think this is going to be a prolonged issue like it was when we were talking about Clare County and surrounding areas with that previous event. Clare County was just where we had Most of those outages, I don't mean to single them out and not talk about anybody else. I would just say Clare County and the surrounding areas, because that seemed to be where most of them were. Christy, hi from Pinconning. Wednesday morning. Cindy, I think we could be looking at fog Wednesday morning, but I think we'll largely be okay on the roads. We'll see how things develop tomorrow, but I think with road crews out treating, I think we'll be able to at least get rid of some of the effects from Tuesday to avoid major problems on Wednesday. We still have some moisture on the roads and we drop below freezing. But are we looking at like a flash freeze scenario? I don't think so. Let's see. Harrison's under the advisory. So I'd be careful in Harrison tomorrow. Watch your temperatures, kind of watch traffic flow, and just see how the day goes by. That's pretty much the key, is as soon as we start coming up above freezing, we start making progress there. Jill asks the popular question, school tomorrow. I think if you're outside of an advisory zone, I would say it's a better chance than not that your kids are going to school. For those who are in an advisory zone, I think it'll be a close call. And the reason I say that is if you look at what time some of that freezing rain really starts to develop, this is 8 o'clock. Some of our students might be at school at that point, and we might be able to thread that needle tomorrow to where we might get the freezing rain while they're at school. And then by the time we get to those afternoon bus stops, and again, I know this shows snow. I think it's a little too much snow. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think this makes it seem like we've got really heavy snow. But I think it would be more of a mix, or just kind of an easier snow to deal with than what we dealt with last night. I think that's the best way to put it. And I don't expect significant accumulation. So if we can get that freezing rain to hold off until after the morning commute and after we get the kids to school, I think we can maybe thread things nicely tomorrow. So I think it'll be a close call, but I wouldn't be shocked if we get most districts to school tomorrow. And yeah, Alicia, I mean, I don't make those decisions. I do have contact with local superintendents from time to time, and we kind of talk about things. For instance, with the flash freeze of a couple of weeks ago, or the potential for one, did mention to a couple of school officials around the area, wait until the morning because the wind could dry us out. And sure enough, we got most districts to school that day. I think the only two closings we had one closing the night before, and then I think we had a closing that was even unrelated to the weather the next day. So yeah, it's tough to say. I'm not the one driving the roads in the morning, but I can at least give you my thoughts, and that's kind of what I think is if we can get this freezing rain to start just late enough to get the kids to school, I think it's very possible we can get them there. Let's see. Alma and St. Louis. So Gratiot County is, again, just added to the advisory tonight. That happened about 8:45 or so. That actually happened while I was setting up the live stream. And so that's a relatively new development, but it's pretty much the same as everybody else. You're looking at about, the key word is up to a tenth. I think many of us will check in under that. And I think Gratiot County, while I don't necessarily want to diminish your winter weather advisory, the fact that you're a little bit further south makes me think you'll be able to warm up a little bit faster. And so would I say Gratiot County's in maybe a better position than, say, Ogemaw County to the north? Probably, just based on the way things are going to progress tomorrow. But Gratiot County, we do respect advisories issued by our friends at the Weather Service and our partners at the Weather Service. So I would say that I would be cautious in that area just to be on the safe side. Aaron, no problem for the update. Yeah, Nick, I haven't really had a chance to look at Saturday, but if you want to ask me again in the next couple of days, I'd be happy to answer that for you. I know you're saying you're supposed to go snowmobiling. That's going to be tough. We're going to be pretty warm the next couple of days. I mean, we weren't that far above freezing today in a lot of areas, and we were melting snow pretty efficiently. We're going to have rain Thursday and Friday, but I'm also unfamiliar with how much snow they have on the ground up in Gaylord. But if you want to message me on my meteorologist Chris Easlick page later this week, I can try to see if I can find some specifics on snow depth for you, and maybe some future snow depth. But man, I'm skeptical, Nick, and that's unfortunate because it's like we finally got some snow back, and the moment you have a chance to go up there, you plan those snowmobiling trips, and it's kind of a luck of the draw the last several years. I know Matthew Mondro in our weather department, he plans his snowmobiling trips too, and he got lucky this year, but he's had some bad luck too the last couple of years. But yeah, Nick, reach back out if you want. Keith, that's a good question. How much rain? Let me take a look at that. That kind of got lost in the shuffle today. I wouldn't expect a ton as far as liquid equivalent. Let me just give a quick gander here. I'd probably say between a quarter to a half, somewhere in there. Denise, how about Tuscola County? You're not under an advisory. Would expect you to be primarily rain during this event. I think you'll have a chance to warm up. I'd still, be cautious everywhere, but I would say the advisory zones are probably where the most concern is, as is typically the case. I think if you're south of US 10, if you're in this area right here, like, Saginaw County, we talked about Gratiot County being kind of right on the edge. I'm a little surprised they're in the advisory. But I would say in this area right here, it's not to say you can't have freezing rain, but it might just be a very limited window to where you might not have quite as much to be impactful. And the advisories are up to 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. I think a lot of us are going to come in under that. But we'll still be cautious nonetheless. Jill, by tomorrow evening, I think M20 will be better. I think you'll have road treatments by then. Be cautious as usual. Mike, Saginaw County, I would say probably a limited freezing rain threat. But everything is so temperature dependent, so just kind of see how the day evolves. Mike, I would say the fact that Saginaw County is not in an advisory says a lot. But sometimes things can change in the morning, so just double check. Kristen, are we getting bad weather? I don't know. It's tough to say bad weather. I would say this is more of a nuisance type storm system. This is not the ice storm from a few weeks ago. Just to give you a little perspective, I don't want to diminish ice on the roads. But I also think this one's a little bit less than what we've dealt with before this winter. Yeah, Jonathan asked a good question too. So the radar seems mostly dry. Let me back this up. Yeah, Jonathan, the one thing I will say to that is sometimes models that we use on TV and that you find on other websites where weather models are, they don't always do the best showing drizzle. And so the one thing that I will say is I think my gut feeling says that early in the morning, it's more of a spotty thing, but based on how much moisture might come in tonight and the possibility of a little fog there, I wouldn't necessarily want to rule out any patchy ice with freezing fog that might develop or any drizzle that develops out ahead of the main batch of precipitation. So I know this doesn't look like much at that 3 o'clock freeze frame, but I also want you to know that still kind of see how things are at that time. And the thing about drizzle is it may not be everywhere. It could be where fog develops. It could mist while the fog is around. The fog clears up for a moment and the mist goes away. So it could be one of those scenarios tomorrow. And no problem, Mike. No problem, Jill. Sheila, I would expect Standish to Bay City at 7, probably to be a little better by that point. And yeah, Mary, a bummer for sure for anyone who was wanting the snow. I know my daughter was just excited to finally get some snow. I took her sledding for the first time over the weekend. She loved it. It was the first time she got to sled kind of on her own. And she was very excited to do it again, and unfortunately a lot of the snow is going to melt. Mama Bear Richardson, I would say school closing in Grand Blanc, probably not. No problem, Mike. Yeah, it does make us pull our hair out sometimes. I feel like we do a pretty good job. You know, I would say we've had better winters than others, and I think we've handled this winter in the weather department pretty well. I think we've had a pretty good run of forecasts here as we've opened up the season. You know, not perfect by any means, but I would say we've had a pretty good start to the year, all things considered. But yes, it is difficult. No problem, Denise. No problem, Christy. All right, we're coming up on about 9:30 here. So that's pretty much it. Let me go through the timeline one more time, and then I'll end the stream because I got to get ready for our 10 o'clock newscast. But I would say more spotty precipitation early, and then eventually starting to become more widespread through the morning. Someone asked about areas like Saginaw County. Let me back up just a little bit. If you look at 7:30, just as an example for Saginaw County, just starting to come into Saginaw County, but then already by 8:30, it seems like temperatures are making enough progress to where it's going over to plain rain. So those counties that are not under the advisory, again, you might have a very limited window at the start, and then things might just get progressively better on a more quick note. And so that might be why. So could I say ice is for sure not happening in your area? I can't say that, but I would say less impactful than areas to the north. Yeah, I appreciate that, Derek. I haven't seen a total yet that stands out that was outside of our zone or significantly outside of our zone. I think now that I'm really thinking about it, maybe one around Bay City. We kind of had Bay City on that transition line between 1 to 3 and 2 to 4. And I think someone might have said they got 4 inches maybe just outside of that zone. But yeah, last night we felt we handled that one pretty good. But appreciate all of you good and bad forecasts. Appreciate all of you supporting us. And Kristen, around Midland, you're under the advisory. Just be careful primarily in the morning. I think probably by late morning or around lunchtime, you should be in better shape, or you're at least moving in the right direction by that point. So we'll see how it all lands. Have a great night. Please be safe tomorrow morning. Again, with freezing rain events, the best thing you can do is just kind of monitor temperatures. If you take the car out, if you have a thermometer in the car, just kind of see what that's doing. Matthew will have traffic updates throughout the morning. I'm sure Diane will have traffic updates at lunchtime if necessary on our noon show. Matthew also has a live stream that happens every day, I think around 10:30. So he'll have some updates for you too. So no shortage of resources for you through the day tomorrow. All right, have a great night, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock, hopefully with no significant news on any developments for tomorrow. We will see you then.